Good morning and welcome to the Rustic Cottage. Today we're going to talk about heirloom plants that are passed down from generation to generation in families. And this video is being dedicated to my mom, who passed away a year ago, this May 1st, which will be Monday. Just want to share some news with you. We're changing our YouTube name from Ageless Crusade to the Rustic Cottage. Today we're going to talk about heirloom plants that are passed down from generation to generation. My grandmother, who was very passionate about flowers, had bulbs that she would grow. She'd grow tulips, she had hydrangeas, she had irises, and her daughters, my mom being one of them, was very passionate as well. I thought it would be a good idea to share some of the things that she loved to share with other people. I have to give credit to Tipper from Celebrating Appalachia. She was talking one day about the plants that were passed down from her mother and her grandmother, and how important it was in the Appalachia area to actually be, having these plants, to say this belonged to my mom or this belonged to my grandmother. And really hadn't gave a lot of thought to it, even though I love plants myself. But I was thankful for Tipper for having the video that showed a lot of the things that she also enjoys. So I'm going to show you a little bit as far as some plants that I have here that came from my mother's garden. Here are some of my mother's irises that she had. I can remember growing up and going out to her garden, and they were filled with yellow and purple flowers in her flower bed. She loved irises. I will say that she has an abundant. Hopefully today we can visit her garden from her home, and you can see how she would grow hers in a mound. Now this area is a starter bed that I use for starting a lot of my plants. Being new to this home of only 5 years, we're trying to establish our garden as well. But these are the irises that she had. Growing up, one of my favorite were the calla lilies, or calla lilies, however you pronounce it in the area where you live. The beautiful white blooms that come from the calla lily, it was always one of my favorite. It's what I remembered most about my mother's flower bed. She would have tons and tons of those. Luckily, I was able to harvest these. We had a really cold winter this past December, and with that being said, I was grateful that these actually came back. I was a little bit fearful that they would not. These are planted on the east side of our home. So but of course this is my starter bed where I take care of these juvenile plants, and we'll transplant them in another area when we develop that. Here are the jonquils that I gathered from my mom's bed. As you can see, they're pretty much sped out. I've got to go through and trim them back. I can't wait to see which jonquils these are. They had not bloomed out at my mother's when we dug them up, and I wasn't sure if these, which type that she had in that area, but we brought these back as well. One of the things that I do place in my juvenile beds is I do have peppermint that I from time to time will thin out because it is so invasive. But I will say that for juvenile plants, it's very helpful in keeping out different insects, spiders, and things of that sort. flower bed where my mother had irises up underneath this oak tree. Of course, it's not anywhere near time for them to bloom, but this was one area that she would actually have. Of course, she had some lilies. I haven't dug any of those up to actually transplant at my home place. This was a location that she had jonquils. Mother loved finding a thicket where she could plant all kinds of bulb plants that she knew would do well, especially where it was shaded. In central Alabama, temperatures get really hot in this area. And as you can see, all the blackberries blooming up on the hillside. Mother found some moss in the woods, and she brought it and put it all around the trees. And as the years went by, the moss just multiplied and multiplied, making this one of the softest areas in her yard. And as a child, I remember coming and sitting. I remember being a little girl and having to run down that hill every single morning to catch the bus down near the thicket. A lot of cold mornings. I remember this one time falling on my way down. I just picked myself up, dusted myself off, and got on the bus. Well, it's been a long day. It's already nighttime here, but thank you for coming along as I shared some of the plants that my mom had cherished for all the years that she was alive.
Well, we want to thank y'all for joining us today.
If you haven't already, like and subscribe.
And we'll see y'all next time on the Rustic Cottage.
Bye.
Bye.